Welcome back to the UKLC. I'm Old Man and this is Orcs, and we're ready to jump into our third game of the night. It's going to be Fnatic taking on Phelan. Now, Fnatic arguably have been the best team in the UK for 2 splits now. When Fnatic Rising was born, they obviously were going to bring big names with them, and they have been very difficult to topple, even for the likes of XL. And this is the third season that we're seeing Fnatic Rising, the iteration of this team, come through to the UKLC, and they've got a fantastic roster to work with, again, with that core of Dan, Magi, Felix, and Matty really being some of the best players in their roles in this entire league. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for any team to topple them.
Yeah, and arguably even in the whole ERLs, Fnatic Rising getting top 4 in E-Masters twice in a row. There's a very formidable roster. They made changes, obviously bringing Dan back down instead of NG. They put Pride into the top lane, Bravado in support. So far, we haven't seen them challenged at all in any regard. I think it's hard to scope out how this team is clearly extremely good, but it's hard to scope out how good they are until I think tomorrow we have them up against XL. That will be their first big test. That's
going to be a huge game. You don't want to miss that. Which game of that on the night is it?
Last game.
Last game of the night. You do not want to miss the last game of the night tomorrow, because that is going to be a banger, XL versus Fnatic. But obviously we have to focus in on this game, Phelan. I don't expect Phelan to contest Fnatic, personally. I don't expect this to be a game where Fnatic would lose. However, obviously stranger things have happened.
There's 3 levels of it, okay? When we saw Fnatic against Enclave, it felt like there was nothing. There was no give at all. We saw last game, Enclave had a little give, and then there's other games where there's a lot more, like Envision against XL. Envision gave quite a lot of give. So I think even though I expect Fnatic to win this, it's going to be interesting to see how much Phelan can manage to put up in response, how much pressure they can apply, and if they can find some successful plays. That's going to be the main takeaway, but I think everyone watching this is very much understand this is a Fnatic favoured matchup.
Yeah, I don't think you can paint it any other way. It'd be disingenuous to say this isn't a Fnatic favoured matchup, even though, Phelan have come into the UK scene and people like Bear Tree, I've been impressed with Bear Tree over the last couple of splits. He's been one of those rookie players that I've been, he's been exciting to follow. Just don't see Fnatic losing to Phelan.
So the only things it's really hard to judge Fnatic because they haven't really been challenged. The only thing I will say, their drafts have been a little bit different from what we expect typically in this meta globally, not just in the UK. And then on top of that, in that last game against Demise did obviously lose massively. But in the side lane, Kerberos never was really given a chance to split push. And it was only at the end of the game, he actually managed to solo kill Pride on Soraka, and it looked like he might be able to take some structures. But the rest of his team died, so the game ended. But I think that does show that there's been one little potential win condition that Demise weren't able to execute on, but it shows that Fnatic aren't necessarily infallible. Whether Phelan will be able to find another potential win condition and then enact it, that's another question. But we're seeing Draven banned away as a target from Jack Spectra, LeBlanc, Soraka, Akali. Big power picks coming out already.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how they round out this ban phase. Obviously, when you talk about Fnatic, you can't not talk about Magi, Felix, and Matty, both of which have been proven to be some of the best players in their role, maybe even in Europe to an extent. You're seeing them definitely talked about in the top 5 for sure, and Magi Felix, always known as one of the best solo queue players to exist on the European server. Those are guys that even just the mental warfare that you have to deal with going into it is going to be difficult. So Phelan have got to try not to play down or play, or rather they have to try not to think about playing up too much to their competition, just play their own game and maybe they can find some weaknesses.
I think what I'll always say is in these uphill battles is that ease of execution is a big thing, but Fnatic Rising have so far drafted really powerful team fight, and normally, like we saw Enclave against Envision, it's like you pick easy team fights and that normally goes in your favor.
So this feels like something that Fnatic have done consistently that other teams have not.
It's prioritize the Sejuani. And this is not just prioritizing, this is first picking it. It's odd. No one really is doing this at the moment. And you can talk about a lot. Sejuani did receive some minor buffs. It's something that Dan is very sort of accomplished on. And it's also the Leona. They literally go Sejuani, Leona. They use them in tandem. There's a ton of CC layering between those. That's what Bravado and Dan have just played consistently. Whether they will continue with the Leona, we'll see. But we see Jarvan and Aphelios, which is pretty strong team fighting tools already on the side of Phelan. And that's more what we expect this early in the rotation from teams in the current meta.
It just feels like Fnatic have got big priority on teamfight CC. I mean, you draft the Misfortune, it's actually a nice combo with the Leona and with the Sejuani, but it definitely feels like they draft specifically for the ridiculous layering of CC that Sejuani and Leona can throw together.
Yeah, I mean, it makes their team fights really powerful, and they've consistently looked for that. It also makes their scaling competent, and there are people who would argue that it is. Despite the fact we see a lot of early focus and mid-game team fights, you can play scaling and win because there aren't that many objectives you need to contest early. You can give over a bunch of dragons, you can give over plates because they're not worth as much, and even then, Fnatic's disparity between other teams is they still tend to come out ahead. But I think this draft is fairly even on both sides so far with regards to Fnatic's priorities. Phelan, Jarvan, solid jungle. They have the Aphelios. They have the Braum, which is a good matchup in Leona and offers protection. So, solid start so far.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like drafting the best they can in this scenario. They've got a lot of, like you said, what you consider pretty powerful picks in this meta. Like Jarvan, a really, really good pick if you just need to have ease of execution from the jungle. Aphelios is a great AD carry in all respects. So, you know, I feel I'm playing the best they can here. They're going to start banning out some, I guess, safer top laners. I guess it maybe indicates that they might want to last pick top for Bear Tree.
Potentially. Although it is targeting the Gangplank, Ornn's been targeted. These are pretty common blinds.
Yeah.
I think it's dangerous because I know MagiFelix can be a massive threat, but it's hard. I would like a flex pick to come out, ideally from Phelan, but it's difficult to just necessarily say that we guarantee a flex pick that's going to work effectively. Ornn is a typical one, and that's been banned away. Camille now taking off the cards. Often a good counter pick that can be played by Pride. Also, though, could have been a last pick for Bear Tree. Not to see how things pan out. A lot of top laners been taking off the cards here. Mordekaiser is still open though. Obviously, he can have some matchups that are a little bit rough for him.
We'll see what Fnatic choose to ban out. There has been a top lane flexi focus, although obviously mostly classically top lane picks being banned out here. It's going to be the Cassiopeia finally taken off the board for Dragain. Let's see where Phelan choose to go. Are they going to go for a blind top laner, which, you know, like you said, mentioned Mordekaiser is okay in that scenario. There aren't that many bad matchups for him, although there are some ones that he can really struggle in. What would you be picking in this scenario? Well, it's going to be the Mordekaiser.
I think for Bear Tree as well, he's pretty confident on the champion.
Yeah.
A lot of high priority top laners been taken away. The question is, what is Pride going to play into it? I know that the Fiora outscales it in this split push, but considering what they're picking up to team fight with, Aatrox makes a lot more sense.
Aatrox seems perfect. I mean, Fiora would be a little bit of a mismatch for the composition as a whole, I think. So you kind of then splitting your win condition across a 4-man team fight, then a random split pusher. Whereas you kind of, if you're going like this, you kind of want to go all in. We'll see what they choose to blind for MagiFelix. Of course, like you said, MagiFelix is a guy that draws a lot of attention to his name, and sometimes you try to draft around that. You make sure you don't get an awful matchup for Dragain in the mid lane. We will see what Fnatic choose in this scenario. It's going to be, if it's Orianna, that really fits the bill for perfect team fight setup. I mean, I mean, I don't even need you to analyze what I'm seeing here. It's very simple
as well. And I think this is Fnatic sort of saying, although they understand that they are the better team, and essentially every matchup they're going to have, apart from maybe Bar against Excel tomorrow, there's some competition. I think this composition, when you have this caliber of players who already find massive leads in and of themselves, and you give them a composition so easy to execute like this, it means it's very hard for Phelan to find an avenue back in the game. And you can see, although they drafted, you know, the team fight picks in the regards to the Aphelios, the Jarvan, they've had to divert away into things like the Mordekais and the Ryze, which offers them a potential 1-3-1 win condition. But I think it shows when Fnatic have drafted such stellar team fight, and they are just, and I'm just going to say it, better than you. They are just better than you individually as a team. I don't think you can go toe-to-toe with them on the same win conditions. So I like the Ryze pick to sort of extend it out. There's another angle by which Phelan could potentially approach this game.
Yeah, and like you said, the 1-3-1 definitely rings true here for Phelan. I actually don't think they stand a chance in teamfight situations if they go toe-to-toe in a 5v5. I think they're just going to get obliterated on an even platform. But I do like the fact that the 1-3-1...
They would need they'd need a big gold lead. And even then, like the drafts alone, Fnatic are favored. If these teams were equal in stature, then...
Fnatic's just got one of those comps, like, everyone can just press R and just win.
It's a clash comp. This is a comp. You get your buddies together. We're like, oh, you know, we have the Orianna, we have the Misfortune. Let's just combo everything together. You don't want a team fight against.
So I feel like if Phelan stand a chance here, it's at Sawyer. Sawyer needs to start putting maybe some resources into Ryze. Like, Orianna is incredibly vulnerable if you burn her flash early on. So maybe if you can look to put some pressure and get Dragain ahead, and Bear Tree maybe find some favor in this matchup at the top side. I feel like that's the win condition for Phelan. If not, you're going into 5v5s where you lose all the time.
And that's the thing to take into account is that we're talking about these win conditions. Gold leads can massively shift them if you are really far ahead. Potentially, Phelan can take something in terms of a team fight, or if they find a pick to start it off. And then on top of that, you have Jarvan, which is an earlier pressure jungler than the Sejuani. Sejuani, especially after the nerfs that did push a little bit out of the meta for most teams, to the cooldown on an Arctic Assault a lot longer, makes it a lot more vulnerable, especially to counter ganks. If you dash in, it's a 20+ second cooldown before you can dash out again. Really dangerous. So I expect Dan to play as Dan does, and that will sort of balance the matchup and probably favor him. But in terms of raw champions, Sawyer, as you said, the one we're looking to set up this early game.
We're about to dive onto the rift here. Fnatic versus Phelan. Phelan can get this win. It would be huge for them. Giant slayers almost in the UKLC, but we expect Fnatic to be the favored team in this matchup. We'll have to see how it plays out, though. We have seen some upsets across both the UKLC and the Nordic League this week, so it's obviously stranger things can happen. And these guys just taking super defensive positions. No one willing to take risks in the early game with those level 1 invades. We've seen very little of it in the UKLC in general.
Yeah, I mean, there is potential with the Braum to set that up, but you have to be careful. You're not phase checking into something dangerous. And I think for now, defensive starts, you don't want to throw away a best of one, especially, I know Fnatic, they don't want to do anything that can sort of threaten losing, because it is a best of one scenario. This isn't the most likely situation where upsets will happen, and Fnatic want to keep their clean sheet going. Phelan obviously would love to get a point on the board. For now, just going to start pretty defensively. Both junglers start on the bot side. We'll allow both supports and AD carries just to give a leash over. And Dan, typically in the Sejuani, pretty farm heavy in the early levels. Can look for ganks after his first clear or two. But this pace could end up being a little bit slow in the early levels. We'll have to see how it pans out.
Pride. Again, I'm excited to see Pride. Obviously, he's been around many regional leagues for quite some time. He's had a lot of experiences under his belt as a player. And I think, you know, he's a good addition to Fnatic in general. I think he's a strong top laner. I think he's definitely a worthy successor to the, you know, for instance, like the Shikari that we had previously. But he has been the guy that I've wanted to see perform the most on this new roster. I think he's really the one that I've had the most question marks about.
I agree with that. I think that, for me, Pride is the unknown quantity. We've seen a lot of bravado playing most recently on Schalke Evolution in the DAC region. We obviously know a lot about Dan, Magifelix, and Xmadi, especially their performance in EU Masters. Pride, a little bit more uncertain. On paper, I would say he is worse than Bando and Chikari, as of what we know of him right now. But there's very much chance for him to prove me wrong. There's very much chance to change that. And on paper, doesn't always tell the full story. So there will be opportunities throughout the split to see if he can live up to his former top laners.
Where's Bando playing now?
In France, I believe, on LDLC.
Back to LDLC?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There you go.
Pretty sure, because he played up against Vitality, and it was Bando against NG, because NG's on Vitality.
Okay, yeah.
Vitality B, because they're the Bs.
Yes, got it.
But also the B.
Totally got it.
I love that. I love that academy name.
I actually just haven't followed all the players that I wanted to follow, and you're very, very knowledgeable in this. Where's Toaster playing?
Nowhere at the moment, I believe, because he was going to play in the Baltics, and then I can't remember the reason, but there was a post about it, and his team was unable to play. So as far as I know, he doesn't have a roster at the moment.
Oh, I like
he was going to be on a roster with Rifty as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like Toaster and Rifty. They're both cool guys.
Yeah. Would have been a throwback. Unfortunately, didn't come through. So if he has found a new team, then I'm unaware of it. But that is his current situation.
So it looks like Jack Spectre and Raisins, as you'd imagine, very early on in this matchup, were putting pressure down. But Matty and Bravado just starting to get back into it now. The levels are there.
Yeah, Leona not the best at level 1, and Braum, Aphelios definitely a force to be reckoned with. But as soon as Bravado and X-Fighter can give back some give, they will. And they've looked pretty good in 2v2 so far, finding often kills just between them without the jungler.
Can we agree the most useless thing that added to Summoner's Rift is the alcoves?
See, I actually really like the alcove because they're mostly useless, right? Because they change so little. Why not, you know?
They're just there.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
No one ever going into them is mostly a death sentence.
But like, there is occasions when you make team fights in the bot lane, there's more outplay potential.
Sure, yeah.
And I like it in that regard because even if they don't change, 4 out of 5 games, they don't change it negatively.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think Riot were really expecting some kind of massive shift in the way the bot lane is played by just adding the alcoves.
What I like is that when the enemy 5-man bots, you can buy a couple more seconds as you run into the alcove to cry.
There you go. I like having extra seconds to cry. Yep, looks like Matty and Bravado have managed to get back on though. They, like you said, level 1, Leona's kind of bad. So you need to wait at least until level 2, and then you have the threat of the Zenith Blade. And
you're full engaged. A little bit like Alistair in that regard. I guess,
at least Alistair can deal with melee aggression, though, by just pulverizing at level 1.
Well, I mean, Leona can with the shield bash. I think the thing is you can go Zenith Blade level 1 and still dash onto them and look for an aggressive trade, whereas Alistair can't. You can go headbutt level 1, then just headbutt them away to annoy them.
Always good fun.
Yeah, probably not to a Braum, not the best idea, but yeah. I just think it's interesting, talking back to the alcove thing, that Riot have looked quite a bit as sort of terrain very much in the preseason, changes from the Dragon. And I think that's an interesting one because obviously in other games like FPS is a very important factor, but for a long time, League was kept pretty much the same in most regards, and they clearly had assessed it and wanted to change quite a bit. Early Dragon coming out.
That's very early Dragon.
That's the power the priority picked up, and now Jack Spectrum Raisins. There's the alcove, but they don't want to use it.
They don't want to use it because this is going to be a death sentence. Bravado goes in with Dan, just looking to be as aggressive as possible. Put a lot of pressure onto Raisins here. Final basic attack will get first blood with the Ignite.
Needing nearly a flash. Nearly a flash. But good play from Fnatic. They use the priority to go for the Dragon, then they instantly do Brown, they get a kill, they get a Dragon.
Just poor vision control from Phelan, though, on the bot side of the map. They had nothing. Absolutely nothing in that river area.
I mean, it's rough to have vision control this early.
I suppose it's 6 minutes, right?
Yeah, you don't have many wards, you don't have a side stone, you haven't even backed for any control wards, but they should have expected when it goes, enemy team has slain the Dragon, you're like, oh.
I wonder where they are.
It felt like it was processing, they were like, oh, the enemy's slain the Dragon. Oh, cool. Oh, wait, we're near the Dragon.
Yeah.
It just felt a couple of seconds too late, which was also the situation with Raisin's flash. I need to go down, but overall, nothing too big to come out yet.
MagiFelix just CSing, as he would expect on the Orianna, not looking to make any crazy 1v1 plays right now. Very happy to just have been pushed into turret over and over again. Dan now, actually having to smite the Raptor away because Sawyer just turns up and steals the rest of the little ones. Just looking to be aggressive, maybe put some deep vision down around this red buff, but it actually looks like the rest of Fnatic are coming to respond to that. At least the movement from Bravado made it feel like he was ready to respond if he needed to.
Yeah, it was a big move from Phelan. Didn't achieve much. The small Raptor's not worth very much at all.
Made 32 gold. That was
not a ton. The XP as well, so they're actually buffing it, I believe, on 10.3. Maybe, possibly. They're definitely changing the jungle, I know that for sure. But either way, not worth the most because we don't know where the little ones couldn't smite the big one, and they got a control ward down, but it wasn't even deep. But I like to see Phelan trying to do something with the time when they have priority in the lanes. Dan farming pretty heavily, keeping ahead of Sawyer for the most part. And that's the thing, you want to Sejuani, you can just farm Kingdom this. We did see a lot of Dan, pathing Nirvana, but on Olaf, which I was a bit like, not the champ. This is maybe why he's playing a lot of Sejuani, because he can just achieve his pathing Nirvana, and he's relevant late in the game, so works out pretty well for him.
Good swap early on here from Fnatic. Looks like they are trying to prioritize that Rift Herald as early as they can. Just neutral objective focus high on the priority for a team like Fnatic.
Yeah, and it should be the standard. When you take the Dragon, there's no reason to stay. And that's something that Phelan could have used their priority to swap. Remember how they roamed up through the river? They could have used that to swap to the other side of the map. Instead, they looked for a little bit of vision, but they are going to get a lot of damage on this tower. And this is the power of this Crescendum weapon from the Aphelios.
Pretty broken.
Especially partnered up with the Severum, you can stack up pretty quickly. But yeah, you can just shred through towers. So the Herald has been secured. They are going to reset. They're not just going to use it top. They're going to instantly switch the priority back to bot lane. So that was a very short top stay for Xmatty, which means he's missed out on a lot of CS, and
they're going to lose the first tower of the game as well. So Phelan just basically called the bluff and said, okay, cool, we'll just take
this is a
turret.
really good play. Fnatic expected the swap in return. Phelan are going to be rewarded with the first tower. And that's what you want the Herald for. You want the Herald to secure first tower. So a big win for Phelan. They're up in gold. Not a lot of people would have expected this. Oh, you can root.
Thanks, Maddie's going to get rooted up. Flashes immediately out the Cataclysm. Sawyer did have the EQ combo available that he maybe could have used first, but they burned the flash.
Yeah, I mean, he got the flash. That's a big thing. I think because of the movement speed of Misfortune, he was cautious. But Ryze is coming in from a long distance, but for now, Fnatic looks to fight.
Misses the Zenith Blade. In goes Dan, though. He's looking for a big engage. There's no flash there on Raisins. He immediately drops. Now it's going to be Bravado flashing in, getting into the brush. He's kept alive for the moment, and suddenly Fnatic are keeping their health bars very, very healthy. Matty's still on the outside right now. Pride being pulled into the death realm. The rest of Phelan are very, very unwilling to commit to the fight, despite very healthy players on their side.
I think they just felt like without the ultimates available, they kind of ran out of steam. Shockwave still up for MagiFelix was a big factor.
True.
And Fnatic looking to answer back.
Good Shockwave there from onto Dragain, just trying to put pressure on him under this tower. But I don't think they're going to get more than a couple of plates off the back of this Dragain. Very happy to just clear this out. Yeah,
Dragain feeling pretty confident despite the Shockwave. Just holds up, clears out the wave. Good fight from Fnatic. Get a couple more kills in that situation. But honestly, Phelan still got that first tower. Still, I feel like made the right call in that regard. And now resets have come in. And it looks like because Ryze is taking so long in the bot lane, Fnatic will have priority, and the next dragon is spawning, so he'll be set for that. Pride could be in trouble here.
All right, he's going to have to start to back off. He's going to get rooted up, but Bravado just throws himself into the fray just to protect him.
I've been a little bit off with the Zenith Blaze in this Leona so far this game.
He's probably pretty happy he didn't even hit that, though, given the situation where they were placed.
He had follow-up, but either way, you know, you don't throw a Zenith Blade to miss.
Yeah, it's true. You don't throw a Zenith Blade to miss. That's
unless you're against Sivir to bait the spell shield.
Well, there you go.
They will force Sawyer away. They're going to go for this dragon. But Beartree's moving closer, so they actually have a numbers advantage here. They can take this fight.
They absolutely can, because Bravado also is not level 6, so he doesn't have that ultimate available. I think he is just dead. Bravado is going to have to back out. Rather, it's actually Dan going down, and they're going to give away this dragon. Fnatic are going to back off. Phelan, actually, again, like we mentioned right at the start of the game, they're playing up to their competition. They've made good, sensible map decisions so far, and Fnatic are being put on the back foot.
Yeah, Pride wasn't there. He wasn't moving over sooner. Beartree, and it was quickly obvious Fnatic realized because they started to move away. They were like, we do not have the numbers. We do not want to take this. And then they ended up losing a member and losing the dragon. So I'm really liking this from Phelan so far. Even if the game falls apart for them from this point, they had a good start. Right now they are again up in gold, and a lot has been given to Jack Spectre. Now Xmaddy has quite a bit because he picked up 2 kills in the counterpart, but a lot of plates in that first tower gold. Jack Spectre I'm going to check.
It'd be good to have a look at the gold between the 2 AD carries, that's for certain.
He is slightly ahead.
Yeah, I thought he might be. He's got a significant CS advantage, and he picked up all those plates.
Yeah, so despite the 2 kills, still up in gold, and that's a big thing for the Phelios, especially for Jack Spectre. This is his debut split. So was a streamer, big Draven player, and decided he wants to play competitive after some time at Twitch Rivals. And yeah, Phelan is his debut team in an ERL or similar sort of tournament.
It's great. I mean, it's good to see him. He's playing well. He, again, both him and Raisins in the bot lane, they made good decisions in the early game. And like I said, they're actually ahead of Fnatic right now. So, you know, we could say at 12 minutes into the game, Phelan actually have a very, very, very minor gold lead over Fnatic.
Yeah, so Phelan, just pause it here. We won. We're up in gold.
Exactly. There we go. Game's over now, boys. We actually got the lead versus Fnatic.
But still, Fnatic looking to apply some pressure. So you see both the bot lanes in focused at mid, but Fnatic trying to apply some pressure down bot. Sawyer is just shadowing Dragain. He does not want him to get jumped on. But you can see this tandem pair, Bravado and Dan, working very well. Sawyer could look for someone on MagiFelix. No flash available.
Actually, interestingly, up in CS in every role for Phelan right now.
Yeah.
Minor in some of the instances, but almost every role has an advantage in CS. And so that's really good for Phelan.
Apart from jungle.
Apart from jungle, yes, of course.
You know,
but
farming Nirvana.
But you know what Dan's like.
Yeah.
He's, like you said, pathing Nirvana.
Yeah, there's the gold. So you can see Jack Spectre still slightly up. Has that cleanse in case they try to go for a long-range engage, and Raisins can block for him. But no flash available right now. There's not too many objectives on the map. That Herald is spawning soon. That may well be the priority. But now the top laner has TP at the moment, and Phelan actually moving through and clearing out this vision. So the big thing is, because Sawyer was shadowing Dragain, he was able to push up, clear out that wave, and now MagiFelix, if you look on the minimap, he's just caught that wave. and it means that Phelan know they have the numbers advantage. So they clear out a lot of this vision on the bot side of the map. Just good little ebb and flow. It's nice to see Phelan recognizing when they have advantages.
I love that they've already transitioned to the 1-3-1 because this is the kind of the win condition that we talked about very early on in the game. We basically said if Phelan can keep themselves even or even get ahead in certain instances, you transition to a 1-3-1, you actually have to pull apart some core components of the Fnatic composition. And Orianna, when you like to play her, she's usually prefers to be mid lane, so she can rotate to where she needs to be.
Yeah, and she likes to catch waves and then move back mid.
Yeah.
If she is going into a side wave, she doesn't want to be sitting in a long lane against a Ryze, especially because if Sawyer turns up, you can Realm Warm to get a flank on her, and Realm Warp to get a flank on her, and then you can jump on her with a Cataclysm. So again,
it's like the classic way to deal with Orianna. If you're ahead, you always want to try and pull her away from the mid lane, and that's what Phelan are doing really nicely here.
Yeah, Fnatic will start this Rift Herald up. Phelan put a lot of focus on the bot side of the map to set Dragain up so he can push up, and that does cost them their bot top side control, so the Herald will be secured for Dan. He's going to use that Empowered Recall, and potentially Fnatic could use that to break their first tower.
The best tower for... Oh, Magic Helix is actually going to be targeted. He's immediately forced to flash.
You take that.
That's okay. You burn an Orianna flash. He's very vulnerable now.
The bot lane of Fnatic were potentially in a position to contest, but what I really like is they went for that play on the assumption Dan had reset. And they knew the timings. They knew it would be a numbers advantage for them. They didn't overcommit for it. They knew they got the flash. That's all they wanted. So I like that play.
Heads up play. Heads up play coming up from Phelan. What I will say is, I think right now, if Fnatic can get the mid lane tower in a scenario with that Herald, that will help them open the game up a bit better and help them try to look to find advantages and skirmishes and set up around these neutral objectives.
And then you can rotate down bot lane, and it really threatens how far Dragain can push up. So yeah, if they can use the Herald to get the mid tower, that's the big sort of win condition for now, though. Dan actually trying to contest his vision around Dragon. It's one apiece, as obviously Phelan did manage to kill Dan and take the Dragon on the second one. Is the Mountain Soul, so mountains from here on out. And obviously, there's a lot of bulky members on both sides, so the stats will be useful. Fnatic, they're looking to contest mid priority here. So how you can use the Herald is you can throw it down mid, and Phelan have to respond to it, and then you can push into the Dragon area and get control of the vision. But now, though, Pride's in trouble.
Pride is in trouble. He's taking a huge amount of damage here. He does have the teleport available, so he can back and teleport in if he needs to. Fnatic are just going to have to try and stall this, though, for as long as possible.
Importantly, no flank wards available for Pride, so if he does TP, he'll just have to walk straight through.
And Dragain is just starting up this Dragon. There is the Dragon. I think that's even going to go down at this point. I don't even know if Fnatic can get into position to contest this properly. They have split up Phelan's composition, and Raisins uses that ultimate just to bash them away. Fnatic will lose the Dragon here from a catch on Pride.
Yeah, but the important thing is they now have priority in the mid lane.
And they can use the Herald.
Yeah, Phelan are having to take the long route round. They can throw the Herald down. It comes in from Dan. I don't think they'll get the tower here, but a lot of damage, but risky route from Sawyer.
Oh, Bear Tree caught up immediately. That's an ultimate going on to the backline. They're going to pick up Sawyer there as well. Bear Tree very, very low. Dragain now immediately has to flash out. Poor positioning from Dragain, but maybe he can turn this around. Very close, and this is going to be a good pickup. I think they will not get the mid lane turret, but they definitely got what they wanted from that engage.
I think they potentially, actually, they're too low. You said that, and then I just thought about that damage coming out from Dragain. A little bit messy, and you could see Fnatic executed very well. They forced them to take that longer route, and even then they challenged them on it. The focus wasn't the tower, it was picking up those stray members rotating. So good move from Fnatic, and they are rewarded with it, but Phelan still doing okay, and they have that second Dragon, so it's going to be a long time before Fnatic can take that Dragon Soul.
And it definitely now puts pressure on Fnatic to continue to contest the Dragons, because Phelan now have that ability to go for the third. Especially now that they're still very even in gold right now. And then Fnatic have to contest it every single time. Now, we have said, in a 5v5 scenario, with a good setup, Fnatic should win these teamfights in most circumstances.
Should. But the critical thing is, good engage coming out from Phelan, a good ult from Bear Tree, and maybe just one overload from Ryze can dictate a fight. You saw how much damage came out there.
Huge.
This is a level 12 Ryze. This isn't late game yet. He has the Seraphs and a Catalyst. You get hit by one of those and you clump together later in the game, that can literally decide a team fight. So there still will very much be factors that come into play later on, but I do agree Fnatic have some easy to use ultimates so they can just chain together. Pride, though, A little disappointing him being caught out there. That was not a good look.
I mean, you raised questions at the start of the game. You know, Pride is the question mark for the Fnatic roster. He has been in a couple of the games so far. And whilst he hasn't died, he hasn't really lost his lane matchup. He has made some questionable positioning decisions.
Yeah, I'm not even saying it necessarily is a negative thing. I'm not saying, oh, he's a question mark. It's just we've seen a lot less of him. So we are trying to watch and get more of a scope from this player. That wasn't a good look, but he has had some good moments in other games. In his first game, he got a huge triple kill on the set. So swings and roundabouts. For now, though, he has burned his TP, and Bear Tree now has that advantage.
I'm not, you know, like I said, I'm not saying that this means that Pride is bad. Pride is definitely one of the best top laners in this competition. Fnatic wouldn't have taken him otherwise. But again, right there was definitely an issue. Jack Spectre now almost caught out. A good ultimate coming in from Misfortune. Matty will pick up the kill there, and Dan is continuing the pressure. They may be looking to go for the mid lane turret. They have that positional advantage right now, and it is very low. That will be the first turret that Fnatic need to start to open this game up. It's a big win for them to get that turret.
Yeah, the kill as well. Jack Spectre wanted to get close to the wall to flash, but the shockwave pulled him away and dealt enough damage for Xmari just to finish him off. They won't get the second tower here. Dragain has moved down to try and assist, but he's no flash and he's getting caught.
He's getting caught. He's going to get locked up. Immediately pops the Seraphs to keep himself as healthy as possible. He will start to try and bounce out with the phase rush, but I think he's done.
Yeah, Root came in from Bravado denying the Realm Warp. Just Phelan getting caught a little bit on rotations. Fnatic is snappy on that, very quickly moving to where they want to be on the map, and anyone on Phelan in their way, they will instantly jump on. They have the engage potential to do so.
Just talked about Pride. He's actually starting to bully Bear Tree, even under his own turret, really nicely. So Pride doing okay now. He's starting to gain some composure, especially now that he has got that Black Cleaver combined with a bit of extra cooldown reduction, and more importantly, he has picked up a little bit of magic resist in the form of that Null Magic Mantle too, so maybe just feeling more confident to go toe-to-toe with Bear Tree right now.
Yeah, obviously can't stack up the MR for that matchup. He will either lane up against Mordekaiser or the Ryze in a side lane. The MR going to come in very useful against them.
Lots of Mercury treads being stacked up, by the way, for...
Lots of CC on Fnatic,
yeah,
what I'm saying.
Exactly. You're not that worried about denying Misfortune's damage when you're actually going to get locked up forever if you don't have those Mercury treads.
Yeah, plus a large part of Misfortune's damage does come from an ultimate. Which
is magic damage, I think, partly?
No, it's physical.
Oh, did it used to be magic damage? I think it used to be magic damage, didn't it? I don't know.
Maybe at some point.
It was a long time ago, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it is physical, but the thing is, it's not auto attacks. And obviously, Ninja Tabi 30 armor is nice, but you can pick up other armor pieces. Like you've seen, Bear Tree has the Seekers. But it's just, you know, you get locked up and you're essentially just going to die regardless. Because if you're stuck in that bullet time for a long period of time.
Alcove being used to back. There we go.
There we go.
It's useful.
Very useful.
It's a useful addition to the map.
Would have done the same job, but sure.
No, Alcove would have done a better job there.
Okay.
And Dragain's dead.
That was just Bravado and Sejuani. Sejuani damage too much.
Too much.
For the Ryze.
I think it's the AP scaling that I got confused with Misfortune's ultimate.
Yeah, it has AP. Yeah, it still has AP scaling.
Did it used to be more, or have they just left it the way it was? Again, this is questions that I don't need.
These are questions
I don't need to answer, slash are not relevant right now.
There's a wiki for this.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I like to try and provide insight and analysis, I'm not the Wikipedia.
True. I like to think that you are, though, so this is why I asked those questions.
Well, thank you.
But it's actually not relevant to this game whatsoever.
Yeah, and Phelan are feeling less and less relevant in this game. The gold lead has exploded up, a lot of towers going down, and critically, I think the big points to talk about are Dan and Bravado. These two, from minute one, have been walking together as a pair, holding hands, linked up, and it's them who are dictating these rotations and finding these picks, catching out Dragain there, and all the engages, and they are working really well as a duo. This is the third game in a row they've played Sejuani Leona, and it's working.
And also, you know, opening up that mid lane tower has allowed them to make these more risk-free roams into the jungle on both the blue and red sides. So it's exactly the key that Fnatic needed to start to open up a gold lead, which now sits at 5,500 gold. Yeah. They really accelerated that over the last few minutes, and now you can see they're setting up a Baron again. Mid lane tower allows you to get much more control over the Baron pit as well. So it was the key that Fnatic needed to unlock this game. They had to be patient about it. Phelan definitely put a lot of pressure on Fnatic up until that point, but Fnatic are starting to put their foot down on the pedal, and they are looking to be the Fnatic that we know, very clean, abusing any kind of advantage they can get, and just going back to that neutral objective focus.
Oh, Dragain looking for a 1v1 here.
It's going to be the ultimate popped immediately from Pride, and I think Dragain is going to have a rough time. He's going to try and get zoned out, does get the ultimate, and I think That's a good escape from Dragain, but it is an ultimate burn.
And the flash as well. I don't think the flash was needed. I guess he was...
And he's dead.
Oh. Do you see how much gold MagiFelix got there? 176.
Yikes. He's a 0-4 rise. I guess that makes a lot of sense. MagiFelix is up about 2,000 gold.
Two cannon minions, sorry.
Oh, Rise is worth 2 cannon minions.
Yeah.
That feels bad, man.
Great Sawyer. I mean, he has the flag and drag, I think, still, so he should be safe. But Fnatic they've completely opened up the map. They're controlling all areas, and it just seems so difficult for Phelan to be anywhere.
The vision control hasn't really been there for Rise to push that far on the bot side of the map, I don't think.
But it feels like it's so difficult to find the vision control. I mean, yeah, I think he shouldn't have pushed that far, but you see finally Phelan trying to find a couple of wards because there's a reset coming in from Dan and Matty. But whenever Fnatic are on the map, you just really can't contest them right now. Their composition, really strong when grouped up in these fights. And on top of that, they're really far ahead.
They're very far ahead right now. You know, we talked about the early game being pretty close between these two teams. Well, Fnatic have started to take over the mid game right now, and they've also hit some big item spikes. We've got the Leandries and the Ludens finished for MagiFelix. He's working towards that Void Staff too. We've got the... what the hell's that item? Mora Mamortius finished here for Aatrox. He's got a lot of magic resist, which is going to be very good versus
What the hell's that item?
Yeah, I know, it's been a while since I've seen it, actually. And obviously then we've also got the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge now finished up for Misfortune. So lots of big items being finished up for this team. They're looking very strong. They've got a Knight's Vow, I guess, attached to Misfortune coming out from Dan, and they've also got the Gargoyle Stoneplate to keep Bravado as safe as possible when he dives in. Yeah,
Leona with Gargoyle Stoneplate, probably tankier than Dan, actually, or at least harder to kill, is such a strong item. Getting nerfed on 10.4, sadly, for you Stoneplate abusers out there. Well, at least the synergy with perfect timing.
I'll say that Jack Spectre has kept up in gold to Matty really nicely here.
Yeah, he's up in CS. He's been picking up farm. Right now, some vision being cleared out. You can see, yeah, he's only 400 down, which compared to the rest of the counterparts from his team, pretty good. Solid CS pickup. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether it will come into play.
I don't think it'll make that much difference.
Aphelios can be huge, but I don't think he really gets to play League of Legends when he's got no flash or cleanse and Fnatic are looking for him.
Absolutely the case.
Ooh, Pride was hiding in that brush.
I love the way that Fnatic are moving here. They are not going for the IG bush, as it's called. They're going to get a gank onto Bear Tree, although he immediately jumps in to put Dan into the Death Realm, and Dan just having to kite backwards here. They'll turn and kill Dragain, who just unfortunately is literally worth a caster minion at this point. Pride on the back line trying to do what he can. The stopwatch will buy time. Bravado jumps in, but unfortunately, they are very low, and Phelan, with the driving force of Jack Spectre, actually doing some serious work, and then he gets killed.
Yeah.
Never mind.
He did what he could. You know, they took down Pride. He was putting out some big DPS on a Bravado. Not enough.
No. It looked good. It did look good. Phelan were maybe just forcing Fnatic out of that choke point there, but...
MagiFelix just free hitting is the problem.
Yeah.
And then Jack Spectre, he steps up. He's like, I'm here. And he just goes down.
Maybe he just thought, wow, I'm just doing so much damage. I could just turn this and blow people up, but...
I mean, he was doing a lot of damage, but it's not quite enough.
No. Maybe Sawyer going to go for a steal on this...
I think
Baron here.
It's a 50-50, but you go for it. He knows the health. I think he's going to flag away. He knows he's too low now.
Yeah, there's no way. MagiFelix is just not going to be able to. So he's not going to be able to compete with MagiFelix. MagiFelix can get the kill with dissonance.
Yeah.
This is basically game at this point, I think, for Fnatic. I think very little can go wrong for them right now.
I think Sawyer used his flag and drag to get there.
Okay,
flag and drag away. You have to go for the steal in that situation. The game is... There's a pretty low percentage chance you win in the game at this point. So I think you have to try and go for the miracle turnaround. But regardless, Fnatic very much in control. 8,000, almost 9,000 up in this one. And with the Baron now in their hands, expect to see them taking a lot of structures. They can take this Mountain Dragon. It won't give them the soul, but will get them a little bit closer. The 5-0-5 from both the carries of Fnatic Rising. Just been dominant. There was that little bit in the start where we thought, hey, Phelan are putting something up, but since then, rough and just stopwatch from Jack Spectre.
Yeah, just keeps himself alive. He definitely would have taken a huge amount of damage from that Misfortune ultimate, especially bad considering the Dragon is on the table. But I don't even know if Phelan are in a position to contest the Dragon right now. I think Fnatic at 9,000 gold in the lead.
You don't want to.
You don't want to.
Worthless.
It's not
even soul.
Not even soul. You want to give yourself another 5 minutes to potentially hit some item spikes that might be useful.
It's not even that. It's just you need to try and defend against the Baron. If you contest that Drake and lose the fight, you lose the game. So it's just wave clearing here and now. They did potentially consider an engage when Fnatic was going aggressive there. Jack Spectre, again, with a really good stopwatch. Just want to note on that to keep him alive from the CC of Bravado and the damage from Xmati. Feeling a little bit confident. They know that Pride was on the Dragon, so they could bully down a little, but
I don't think they can get much. Even 4 versus 5, I think they're going to be struggling at this point, even without Pride.
Yeah, it's a hard ask. So they've gone for resets. This might be the time when they finally look for a fight. Fnatic, they do push in here. It would be a choke point. Jarvan Cataclysm can set up that pretty well.
But I think the bullet time is down, remember? So there's a big teamfight ultimate that is gone. Actually, Dan's going to look for an engage straight on Jack Spectre, who flashes away. The shockwave does not actually hit. And now Bear Tree right in the middle of the fight, doing a lot of damage, but I still think with MagiFelix up and ready to go, Fnatic should have this. Bear Tree will eventually go down. And it was a good play from Phelan, but I just don't think they can do enough to win this out. This should be Fnatic closing out the game. Sawyer and Raisins can maybe make a last-minute play here. Maybe Fnatic even just give them the respect they deserve. They don't really have any minions to work with, but that Nexus tower is going down very quickly. And with 30 seconds left and another minion wave coming crashing in, I think this should be Fnatic's game.
Yeah, absolutely. Sawyer going to do his best, but he's just going to get blown up. Raisins, you're the support, unable to do much. They made a respectable effort at the end. Jack Spectre got a big Infernal, but the damage just wasn't there. Maybe if he had Runans, if Fnatic weren't as far ahead, could have done more, but ultimately a huge goal lead. It's very difficult to overcome. And Fnatic, they're just clearing the minions, building up those stat scores, but the game, theirs whenever they want it.
And they will pick up that game versus Phelan. We didn't expect Phelan to be able to beat them, but I do have to be, completely honest. I think Phelan did a good job in the first 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes of that game, Phelan did an okay job of keeping themselves in a solid fighting position, but then Fnatic started to accelerate.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like as soon as Fnatic got down that mid tower, they started to elevate control. When they caught them on the rotation, before even getting the mid tower, then they got the mid tower, then they started to elevate control. Bravado and Dan working so well hand in hand together.
I mean, you can see why the Sejuani Leona pick's working out for them when they have performances like that.
Really great synergy. You can just Zenith Blade in, auto Q auto, you almost instantly stack up the Sejuani passive. It just works well to lock people down, and then they have these huge carries, Xmati and MagiFelix, to follow up. It plays itself, but Fnatic are very good at playing it.
They are, absolutely. And MagiFelix had a great game on the Orianna, as you'd expect. Matty had a great game on the Misfortune. The whole of Fnatic played pretty...
MagiFelix actually died at the end.
Oh, so well, okay. Well, that's ruined really it for us.
Yeah, he doesn't have the perfect KDA, whereas Xmati does.
There you go. Orcs, keep talking.
Yeah, so...
Sorry. I get, like I said, getting over a cold.
I think as we expected from Fnatic, couple of moments were like, maybe feeling, showing some life, showing a little bit of resistance, but not as much as we saw, say, Envision up against XL. But definitely interesting to see how that matchup between Fnatic and XL goes tomorrow. No one really massively challenged Fnatic yet. Just little moments, little potential win conditions, but I think more so. So the split push from Demise, they didn't play well around it, but it was there. There was a moment where Curb did solo kill Pride on the Soraka, and then he could potentially have taken structures. They're the 1-3-1. It felt like they never found headway. They just could not get the control to do so. They
just didn't have the vision around Dragain, and especially once that mid lane tower went down, it was too easy for Fnatic to find him over and over again. He was the weak point for Phelan, but that's because he was being targeted in that 1-3-1 so easily.
They just denied it, and I think that's... They played this better than the game against Demise. Despite the Demise game being a stomp, they kind of just brute forced it, whereas this was very much intelligent. We know what their only avenue in this game is. Let's shut it down. So yeah, credit to them.
Well, Fnatic have a, let's put it in inverted commas, real challenge tomorrow with XL, the final game of the day. Well, the final game of today is going to feature XL2. They'll be taking on Demise. So when we're back after the break, we'll see how they do.